Regardless of their sincerity, their humanitarian motives, those who would trade our freedom for security have embarked on this downward course.
This is an extreme risk bill. It's an extreme risk to our most fundamental individual rights as Americans.
The gentleman from Florida is recognized for 2 minutes.
If House Democrats were so worried about violence, they wouldn't open the borders, open the prisons, and then disarm law-abiding Americans who want to protect themselves and protect their families. Speaker Pelosi asks the question, well, if you knew when the next act of violence would be, why wouldn't you want to stop it? What is this, the United States Congress or the plot for the movie Minority Report? The best you could ever hope to have in terms of warning is what we had in the Parkland case, where a neighbor saw Nicholas Cruz preparing for a school shooting, called the FBI, and because they were so focused on the bureaucracy, they didn't take action. And so that's why I'm against federalizing the regular police, and it's why I'm against federalizing the school police, because the more the FBI was involved, the more they botched the case, and maybe there were people dead who didn't need to be. These red flag laws violate our Second Amendment rights, our Fifth Amendment rights, and when they are done at the national level, they violate our 10th Amendment rights. And it is crazy that we are considering legislation to bribe the states to take rights away from our fellow Americans. Let me give you this warning, my friends. It is no victory, as Mr. Carbajal said, that in my beloved Florida, we've used red flag laws 8,000 times. There weren't 8,000 school shooters we stopped, probably not even 8,000 criminals. What we do see is that these red flag laws are used in divorce proceedings. They're used in every type of dispute, and it shouldn't be a cudgel that way. We'll stand up for the rights, and it's no bullshit that we will.
We've heard time and time again, Madam Speaker, that the Democrats say this is not a violation of due process, not a violation of our constitutional rights. It most certainly is. Remember the basics here. Someone doesn't like you. They file a complaint. There is a hearing within 24 hours, a hearing that you're not allowed to attend. You're not allowed to be there to face your accusers. The government takes your gun or guns. Several days later, there's a real hearing. Well, a real hearing with a lower standard. The burden of proof for the government is not beyond a reasonable doubt to deny you your constitutional right. It's a clear and convincing standard to take away your fundamental liberty when you didn't commit any crime. If that's not a violation of due process, I do not know what is. And all this will be, the Title I of this bill, it'll all be administered by the Biden administration Department of Justice. The same Department of Justice that got a letter from a left-wing political organization and 5 days later sent a memorandum to every single U.S. attorney in this country saying this: set up a dedicated line of threat communication on parents, use counterterrorism measures against moms and dads who had the nerve to show up at a school board meeting and speak up for their kid. And then 16 days after that memorandum went out, the FBI sends an email out and says, put a threat tag, a designation, a label on moms and dads who did show up at school board meetings, who someone filed a complaint about on that snitch line, and investigate them. That same Biden administration Justice Department will be administering this law. That is why we are so against this measure and why it is so darn dangerous. They can say all day long it doesn't violate due process. It most certainly does, and it's going to be administered by a Justice Department that's already proven they're willing to go after parents who speak up for their kids. That's why this bill is so terrible. And why Republican senators are pushing this and trying, as Mr. Gates from Florida said, trying to bribe states to implement this when we have the history of the Biden Justice Department and we know what this thing is going to look like and how it's going to violate due process.
The gentlelady from Texas asked, do we want guns in the hands of dangerous people? And the answer to that question is, of course not. But the only question that matters is, who constitutes a dangerous person, who gets to decide, and why? There are more people killed in the United States by hands and knives than rifles. I don't want a crazy guy in my school with or without the ability to have a weapon. Everything we are doing here today is a pretext. It is a pretext for targeting and confiscating and eliminating our ability to have weapons. When people say things, it's a good idea to believe them. President Biden, whether it's a 9mm pistol, whether it's a rifle, it's ridiculous. I'm continuing to push to eliminate the sale of those things. Representative Mondaire Jones, if the filibuster obstructs us, we will abolish it. If the Supreme Court objects, we will expand it. We will do whatever it takes. Representative Ocasio-Cortez, ban semi-automatics. Representative Beto O'Rourke, hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15.
Everyone wants to stop mass public shooters, but we haven't previously punished people merely on the basis of a hunch, and we shouldn't start now. Stopping future crimes doesn't work in the movies, and it doesn't work in real life. But Democrats are completely ignoring involuntary commitment laws that are on the books in all 50 states presently. In the existing involuntary commitment laws known as Baker Act, there's a mental health care expert involved. There's no such thing in the red flag laws. There's the ability to challenge your accuser to have a day in court before your rights are deprived. There's no such opportunity in the red flag laws. You get an attorney appointed to you if you can't afford it. No such thing in the red flag laws in many of the states. Red flag laws could actually increase the rate of homicide and suicide. Simply talking to other people about your healthcare issues and your mental health could help you overcome it, but people will be reluctant to do that if red flag laws are in place. Red flag laws have already created thousands of second-class citizens who no longer have the ability to purchase a firearm for defense in the states that have red flag laws. If this passes today, there will be millions of second-class citizens created in this country who've been deprived
The gentleman's
of due
time has
process
expired.
under the Second Amendment, and I yield back.